Youts, Nuch Ab T. I am Ab, and today I want to talk about the vocal tract. So here you see a side profile of a human head, and this is basically a detail of the vocal tract. And these are basically the parts that are used to manipulate sound. So we're going to start with this part here. So this is your tongue. It's a very important part of your vocal tract. It's involved in most of the sounds that you make. It changes shape, it changes position, that changes sound. Here we have your teeth. So these are your lower teeth. These are your upper teeth. So the sounds that are made involving your teeth usually involve closing them slightly. We'll look at some examples of those in videos that will follow this one. And then here we have your lips. So you have an upper lip and a bottom lip. The sounds that are made using your lips are referred to as labial sounds. And basically labial is just another word for lips. We have up here, so this is your nostril, and that means that this is your nasal passage. So the nasal passage is involved in some of the sounds that we make. Sometimes there's sounds that we make where you're pushing air just through your nasal passage, then comes out through your nostril. Sometimes sounds come out partially through your mouth and through your nasal passage. But any sound that involves your nasal passage is referred to as a resonant sound. So resonant basically means that when air comes up through your nasal passage, it's resonating. The sound is kind of bouncing around inside of your nasal passage and then coming out of your nostril. This little area right here, I'm just going to draw a dotted line. This is called your alveolar ridge. So this is a little bump behind your upper front teeth. There are some sounds that you make where basically you take the tip of your tongue and press it up against this ridge. Those are basically called alveolar sounds. Sometimes your tongue gets close to it. It doesn't quite touch, and the air comes out through your alveolar ridge on your tongue. This is a pretty important part to remember. There are some sounds that are specific to xa'islak'ala that involve your alveolar ridge. There's sounds that you don't hear in English that involve the alveolar ridge. In this area here, if you take the tip of your tongue, press it up against the roof of your mouth right in the middle, this is called your palate. There's actually two parts to your palate. This part right here, if you take the tip of your tongue, press it up against there, you can feel that it's pretty firm. So this is called your hard palate. So there's some sounds that you make where the air comes up, bounces off this area, then comes out of your mouth. So those are called palatal sounds because the air is being directed off of your hard palate. This area here is also sometimes referred to as part of your palate, but its proper name is the velum. So the velum is basically your soft palate. So if you take your tongue, press it against this area here, you can feel it's a lot softer than this area, which is your hard palate. This here is called your uvula. So this is basically a piece of skin that's hanging from the back of your throat. This area here is called your pharynx. So it's basically the part of your throat that goes up into your mouth and your nasal passage. So it's this area here. This is called your larynx. So another word for larynx is voice box. So your larynx has vocal cords. The way you produce sounds, most of the sounds that you hear, air comes up through your trachea here, your windpipe. They pass through your larynx. The larynx has vocal cords. Those cords vibrate. That's what creates sound. It comes out through your mouth or through your nasal passage. Those are called voiced sounds, the ones that you use to create sounds where your vocal cords are being engaged. This area right here is called the glottis. So this is the opening between your vocal cords. So there are sounds in xa'islak'ala that you make by closing your vocal cords and then releasing the air. So those kinds of sounds are called glottal stops. So if you hear anybody talk about glottal stops, that's what they're talking about. The glottis is the opening between your vocal cords. You make a glottal stop by closing your vocal cords and then opening and releasing that sound. So that's a look at your vocal tract. This gives you an idea of the different parts that are involved in making sounds. In the next video, we will talk about vowels. Until then, xa'islak''ala.